A very good day to all panels. My name is Loyo Yi, and today I would like to bring an overview to you about the Rescue Yonna game-based learning in enhancing secondary 4 students' English vocabulary. As we know, when the Ministry of Education implements SAFER into language teaching and learning, this has significantly highlighted that the importance of 4 main skills in language acquisition. Precisely reading, listening, writing, and speaking. However, as we know, writing skill is the most difficult skill to put into practice as students do not have sufficient vocabulary to support them in writing. Today, Generation Z prefer to grab the information instantly through interactive platform. With the assistance of game-based learning, the students are excited to learn as they can work collaboratively in achieving their goals. The concept of game-based learning has motivated them to learn English language timelessly at home, especially during the MCO period. Therefore, these studies would like to highlight how game-based learning can be applied into English vocabulary learning. Here are the research objectives and research questions. The research objectives is to determine the effectiveness of game-based learning in enhancing English vocabulary among secondary learners. It also to identify students' perception on using game-based learning in improving vocabularies. Whereas the research questions is to what extent does the use of game-based learning have an impact on secondary students' English vocabulary? And how do students perceive game-based learning in improving English vocabulary and acquisition? Here are the literature review. In 2015, the Malaysian government has decided to reform English education from KSSM to CFR assessment scale, and they implemented CFR in the English education system. Hence, students' proficiency in English is recognizable internationally based on the knowledge and skills they have gauged. There are 6 stages from A1 to C2. A1 and A2 are considered as beginner level. B1 and B2 are referring to intermediate language learners, while C1 and C2 refers to advanced language learners. Precisely, content, communicative achievement, organization, grammar, and vocabulary are being evaluated to their writing and speaking skills. Whereas this is the framework or the concept being used in the study, game-based learning. It is a learning approach by using various interactive games in stimulating and motivating learners to learn a subject. Game-based learning will stimulate human thinking and learning through investigation at physical learning sites. Learners can also receive information through visual media platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, games, animations, and infographics. There are a few past studies to support game-based learning in language acquisition. Firstly, Castillo-Costa. She has conducted a study in 2020 in Universidad Técnica Particular de Loja in southern Ecuador to identify 68 students who were from SAFER B1 level in enhancing English as foreign language in the country by using Educate Play. The result shows that learners' grammar, particularly in gerunds, modals, and infinitives, have improved dramatically. Another study was conducted in Macau by Chan in China in 2021 to enhance Chinese learners in learning Portuguese. An application was tailored to assist students in learning vocabulary, complete exercise, attempt listen tasks, and dictation. All participants mentioned that the application learning method was more attractive and interactive, and the information retained longer in brain. A research was also conducted in Yogyakarta Indonesia by Satini in 2020. She used Kahoot to assist the maritime cadets in learning English vocabulary. The result shows that those cadets' vocabulary and terminology's mastery of maritime English had improved through repetition and memorization. Another study conducted by Hasram in 2021, he used World War to determine the degree of improvement vocabulary learning among primary 5 pupils. The finding shows that pupils' vocabulary score has significantly improved after integrating World War as a subject. Next is the Bloom's taxonomy, the concept or the framework used by the researcher to complete this study. There are 6 levels, from level 1 to level 6, which is from remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, until creating. So, researcher will start from remembering, where students will go through a few exercises to identify the usage of the vocabularies, to understand and apply it to the complete sentences. And then the students will need to analyze and group the vocabularies into 5 different categories of the feelings and emotion. Then they will move to evaluating, where they need to determine the suitability of vocabularies in the sentences. Next, which is the last level, they will need to use the vocabularies learned in making own sentences, especially in writing their reflection. This is an overview of the exercise. At your right side, you can see the categories of the feelings and emotion, which are caring, remorse, anger, happy, and depressed, where the learners will not notify this on their screens. They will only see the questions and also the options. How can they locate the meaning of the words? Can you see the exclamation mark? Yes, this is where we can find the meaning of the words. So, every time when the students attempt the questions, they can look at the meanings repetitively, and identify the right answer. If the students answer incorrectly, the red color button or the red color words will shine on the screens, whereas if they answer it correctly, the green color buttons will shine on their screen. After answering all the questions, the students will move to this part where they need to categorize the words. So now they need to categorize it by using mind map. Under methodology, it is being divided into research design, participants, instruments, data collection, and data analysis. It is a qualitative case study where educational game by using PowerPoint is being designed. It is an enrichment activity which contains 5 goals to be achieved by the students. Under participants, 5 students, specifically 3 girls and 2 boys from secondary 4. All participants were from independent high school. All learners obtained lower B1 in narrative writing, which is one of their assessments. Next is the instrument. Teacher taught students writing skill before writing a narrative study. Narrative essay is used as a pretest to identify students' vocabulary level, and the marking criteria is based on Safer marking scheme. Teacher introduces the game to students before they start answering the questions, and students complete the vocabulary exercise with teacher within 7 sessions. A reflection was collected from each student to examine their vocabulary level after this study. In data collection and data analysis, teacher and students spent 7 sessions to complete this game. Throughout the sessions, students' collaborative is being tested with their peers to strive the goals. Students use 5 sessions to complete all 5 goals, and 1 session to analyze the categorize the vocabularies. And then we also use 1 session to use the the vocabularies learned to write a reflection with the teacher. A thematic analysis was used to analyze students' reflection. Now, let's move to the findings and discussion. From the reflection, researcher has broken down into 4 categories, which is from vocabulary bank to motivation, applicability, and the organization. Next, let's move to the vocabulary bank theme. As we know, the enrichment program has let the students understood the insufficiency of vocabulary would affect their writing ability. Student A mentioned that I do not know there are so many stages of happiness, sadness, angry, and sorrow in English. Whereas student D mentioned that now I know more vocabulary and I have inserted them into my vocabulary bank. Throughout the exposure of vocabulary enrichment program, learners were stimulated to increase their vocabulary bank. Next is the motivation part. We know that motivation is always the element and also the key which drives or stops a student from moving forward, especially in English acquisition. Most students mention that game-based learning has motivated them in learning English vocabulary. All participants agree that I love station games and this is my first time experiencing it. Moreover, students also prefer station game rather than puzzle since station games motivates them to hit the goal. It is being mentioned by student B. She says that I love station game more than puzzle or word search in learning vocabulary as puzzles and word search can only locate it on the paper. Besides that, students perceive that the game as the scaffolding activity in learning English is very effective. Let's see. Students did mention that some questions seems difficult to answer, but thanks to the design of the game, eventually I can understand and choose the correct answers for my questions. Next, let's move to applicability. The game and mind map could be applied and assist students in other subjects. Students E mentioned that I think station game and mind map are applicable for other subjects too, such as my chemistry and history. As we know, these 2 subjects needs more memorization and it is dull to memorize sometimes. Student A mentioned that I can use more words to describe my essay map. Next part, let's move to organization. Most students agree that they can organize and increase their vocabulary bank and essay after learning the way to categorize the vocabularies. It is being mentioned by student A, B, and D. I can use mind mapping method in arranging my ideas in essay, not only the words. Where student C mentioned that I have more vocabularies to be added in my mini dictionary now, and I learned to classify my vocabularies. In conclusion, education should not just stop in the classroom. It has to go beyond the classroom as it is a crucial element to cultivate and achieve higher order thinking skills. It can be concluded that secondary students prefer using games in learning English vocabulary. With the assistance of offline games, students have higher motivation in learning English language as they can participate and interact with teammates effectively. However, due to the time constraint, the researchers did not manage to spend more time to study students' progress in depth, and this has led to the validity issue of the research. In future research, it should involve wider scopes of participants and a comparison of vocabulary learning between the urban and rural area students can be studied. That's all. Thank you to all panels.